Welcome back to another episode of Marcel, Hyde, Mindset. And I hope you guys are taking this time in your life to just evolve, to get better, to grow, to, find people around you that have what you want and just be a student of them, learn from them, ask questions from them, and be humble enough to come around people or around someone and and not act like you know everything. Don't go to someone and tell them everything in which you know, right? That is not the time to let people know everything you know. That is the time to learn and listen from someone else, because if I'm just talking the whole time, am I actually learning? I'm not. So the key is to be listening more than you're talking, right? Unless you're on a podcast, unless you're shooting some video, unless you're doing a talk show. I strongly believe in the power of listening. There's so much power in listening. The guy that listens more than the guy that speaks will go a lot further, in my personal opinion. The guy that's taking knowledge from, elders, is taking knowledge from parents, is taking knowledge from maybe managers, CEOs, directors, as opposed to telling them everything they know, you're going to go a lot further than that person that's always just, talking and letting people know what they've done or who they know and what they know. Those people only go so far. And it's the ego that gets them, right? And, today I want to talk a little bit about, your ego and being a man and other men competing with other men. I just don't understand that. We all essentially want the same thing as men. We want money in our pocket. We want to be as healthy as we can. We want a beautiful woman beside us, right? We want peace in our life, love in our life. We want pretty much the same things, yet we're always finding ourselves competing against one another, gatekeeping, withholding information, not telling another man what worked for you because you don't want them to get ahead, jealousy, envy. It's just like we're all seeking the same thing. I can't speak from a female perspective. I don't know what they're seeking really. A lot of men come on YouTube or TikTok and Instagram and talk about women, but I'm not a woman, so I don't know how to really talk about their experiences or what they really think or, what they really desire or they want. I have an idea, right? Because obviously I have a mother and, sisters, and I work around women and I've been around women my whole life, but I'm not a woman, so I don't know exactly what they desire. And I know that each one of them is different. One might want a family. One might want to have freedom to travel the world with a man. One might want, someone that's a doctor, a lawyer. So they all want different things, right? So I can only speak from a man's perspective. But as a man, I can say that we all want similar things, right? So I don't understand why, as men, if you're watching this video and you're a man and you have this in your heart where you're competing against other men, right? You're trying to one up another man. You're trying to outdo other men. Then you need to really look within yourself and ask yourself this question: why am I trying to do that? Why not just become the best version of myself, whatever that is? Because I don't know what it is for you. I know what it is for me. And I don't even really know my true full potential. But I know if I work on myself, I will get to my potential, right? We all have potential. Not everyone's going to get to the ceiling. Not everyone's going to get to the top. I'd love to, but if that is not what is meant for me, no matter how hard I work, I'm not going to be devastated. I'm not going to be depressed. It's not going to be the end of the world for me. Wherever I end up, based on the work that I put in and day out, I'm going to be happy with. I'm going to be satisfied with. I'm not going to be suicidal. Excuse my language. I don't know if you can say that on YouTube, but a lot of people are like, they don't reach a certain level, and then they look down on themselves, even though they've given it their all, right? If you've given it your all each day in and day out, you're reading books, you're studying, you're seeking out mentors, you're doing whatever it takes, and you only reach a certain level, but then you have this hate for yourself because you didn't reach the level that you thought you were supposed to be at, right? Because you get sold that message maybe on social media that everyone's going to be a millionaire, which is not the case. There's so much more factors, right, than just hard work, than just the right formula. There's other factors involved, right? So when you work as hard as you can, you do whatever you can to get to the highest level, realize in your mind that what you imagine sometimes as the highest level, you might not get there. You might not make that point. You might not be at that place. And that's hard for a lot of men, hard for a lot of people to accept, right? Everyone's not going to the top, and that's just the reality, whether you like it or not. I'm not going to sit here on YouTube and be like, everyone is destined for the top. No, we need people in the middle. We need people in the bottom. That's what keeps things going in this world. Yes, we're all blessed. And yes, we all serve a purpose on this earth, right? Somebody's purpose might be to pick up garbage. Someone's purpose might be to cut hair. Someone's purpose might be to be a real estate investor. Someone's purpose might be to be a real estate agent. Some people's purpose might be to be a spiritual guide or a spiritual speaker or a speaker in general or a motivational speaker. We're all placed on this earth for a reason. So figuring out what your reason is for being here is number one. And then once you figure out what your reason is for being here, is to work on that gift, work on that reason that you've been placed here. Instead of comparing yourself to somebody who, was on YouTube for 10 years and now they blew. And you're like jealous of them or envious of them. Well, that was their path. That was where they were supposed to end up. That's who God or whatever you believe in, I believe in God, brought them to. Right? Maybe you wouldn't have been fit for that journey that they went on. Maybe you would have been fit for 10 years of not getting any type of results or, living in your car or whatever the case. I didn't do any of that. I'm just saying, some of those YouTubers, you hear the stories. Are you willing to actually do that? And a lot of you are like, no, I need a comfy bed to sleep in. So God's like, that's not going to be the path for you. You can find your path. Your path is going to be different. And that's okay. Because maybe those YouTubers who are making whatever type of money they're making, the path you took wasn't for them. You have a great, successful corporate career. Maybe those YouTubers aren't cut out for that. Maybe they would have done terrible in that environment because that's not what they were blessed with. So understand, that you've been blessed with something. And once you realize what you've been blessed with, focus on that. Don't focus on what the other man is doing, what the other man has. If anything, learn from that other man or that other individual. Because I'm sure there's traits in that man that, you're jealous of or envious of that you would love to have. Because I'm sure that will improve your life. Because I'm sure that place of jealousy is because, comes from a place of like, you don't have something. You're jealous because they're doing something that you want to be doing yourself. And you're not able to. Whatever it is. Maybe it's a vacation. You see this guy traveling once a month. And you're like, how is this guy traveling every month and I'm not? So you get jealous. Well, why don't you call him and ask him, how did he get the ability to travel every month? And you may find out that he started a business or he went through 15 years of YouTube and then finally he blew. That, right? Instead of being jealous, because that's not going to help you. That doesn't fill you up, doesn't fill your tank, doesn't keep you high vibrational. If anything, that just brings you down. Right? And I'm not coming from a place of perfection, like I'm some perfect being on this earth. I'm not. I'm far from perfect. I've made mistakes. I'll continue to make mistakes. But the main thing is when I make a mistake, I learn from the mistake, I get up and I keep going. And don't let that mistake stop me from moving forward. Because a lot of you guys make mistakes. You get stuck in the mistake you've made and you can't move forward from that mistake. And then you start hating yourself or you're looking down on yourself, whatever the case is. You need to get out of that. You need to step up. It's time. It's your time. All right? Is it going to be hard? 100%. I'll be the first to tell you that. Don't listen to the people that say, oh, this is easy. If it were easy, every single individual would go on that path. The path is not going to be easy. But I can guarantee you, once you go through the path, and you wake up and you're at a destination, not the end destination, because the end destination, there's no end destination, right? Because once you get to a goal, once you get to a destination, there's somewhere else you have to go. So it never really ends. So once you understand that it never really ends, it's just like a constant evolution of who you are and continue to move on. Like life is just going to continue to move on. Like you're going to accomplish your goal and say, that's it, then your life is over, right? There's more to accomplish, more to do, more to see, another person to talk to. So remember, stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop being jealous. Stop being envious. Learn from other individuals. Run your own race. And if there's someone out there that is in the spot, in the place that you want to be, reach out to them, talk to them. Maybe you're not built for what they did to get to where they are. And then you'll take another path and realize, you know what, that actually, I don't want to do that because that was kind of, a lot. And I don't think I have what it takes to go through that. Right? So you don't know until you ask, all right? Social media is a great thing. It's also a negative thing, but it's a great thing in the sense that you now have access to all these different people in the world, and you can reach out to them. A lot of people who, are in certain places in their life, they're willing to get back to you because they're just like, they either love to help people or they know if they get back to you, that's a potential client or whatever the case may be, all right? So remember, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. Nothing new over here. We're just evolving each and every day. Marcel, Hyde Mindset. Peace and love. Until next time.